Hi, welcome to LawSchooly.com. This is your host, Evan Jones. Today we're looking at Preptest 63, Game 2. This is a prep test out of the 10 actual official LSAT prep test Volume 5 compilation. So this is a very recent prep test. And this is the second game. Game 1 was incredibly easy. Often the first two games are pretty easy, and this prep test section follows that trend. Here we have a fairly straightforward linear game. So let's take a look at the setup and get it solved. So for setup, we've got 6 skydivers, and they're going to jump out of a plane one at a time. So this is a basic ordering game. One guy per spot, one guy or girl, and they go right in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a basic ordering game, and we've got the following rules. First, T has to jump out sometime before Y. So we got T before W, nothing tricky there. L is either first or last. So this is the LSAT trainer style of representing this. You see that L can be here or L can be here. W and Z can't go in this 6th spot. W and Z are out there. And then this last rule is kind of tricky, but it's one you've seen before, definitely, if you've done all the prep tests up till now. If not, get acquainted with it here, because it's not too atypical of a rule type on modern tests. So we've got pay dives from a plane sometime after O or L, but not both. So what does that mean? P is after O, or P is after L, but not both. Well, what that is basically saying is that P is between O and L. So you can have either this order or that order. And we could leave the setup alone here and just go to the game. But a good option that I like to do in situations like this is look at this, and L can be here or here, and then that can sort of link up with this rule. And what that does is create two different scenarios. We could call them like World 1 and World 2, which are going to be very different. So while you're doing your main diagramming, I might suggest that you just get these two possibilities out. So let's get our 6 spots here. And then we'd have L. If L's first, then we're going to have this PO set up. So you could rewrite these rules under here. And then PO. And then don't forget your W and Z. And then our second possibility for this game is that we'll have World 2 looks like this. TW. And then in this one, we're going to have O and P. So we're either, in this game, we're always either in World 1 or World 2. And we can label these if we want. And just make sure that you don't confuse that 1 and 2 for being variables or anything. So circle them off. Okay, and with that, we're fully ready to go to the game. So let's take a look. Question 6. Question 6 is just an acceptability question. As usual, we're not going to handle it because they're the same as any other acceptability question. Just take your rules one at a time and eliminate the ones where that gets violated, and you're left with one standing. So here, that is B, the correct answer. Okay, on question 7, it's a global question. We're looking at something that's always true, no matter what must be true. So there's really nothing for it but to go through and look for candidate answers. And what you want to do is scan, for kind of likely candidate answers, something you'd see right away before doing this in true trial and error style, which is going to be very time consuming. So what I do is I look at question A, and it's saying at least 2 go after L. Well, why do 2 have to go after L? L's right in the back here. Is this setup not possible at all? I doubt it. So this doesn't look like a good candidate answer to me. I don't cross it off, but I move on. Okay, so let's look at B now. 2 after OBA. So 2 after O. Again, not looking very promising. In World 1, O could go right back here. In fact, he's a good kind of candidate to go in that back spot. So again, not quite crossing it off because I didn't do a full order, but I'm moving on. C, at least 2 after pay. Well, this one might justify to me doing a quick order to check out, because here you at least have to have O after P, so maybe 2 things have to go after it. So I try a World 1 scenario, L, T, W, Z, P, O. And that's a perfectly acceptable order. We followed all the rules for World 1, T and O, P and O, and there's only one guy after P. So C is now actually definitively gone. Okay, so moving on to D. With this one, at least 2 of the members go after T. So this looks much more promising. TW, okay, yeah, in World 2, we need TWL, so the latest we can have T go is 5th. And then in World 1, because W can't be at the end, the latest you can have it is here, right? And then that forces T into the 5 spot, and then somebody has to be in here. We don't know who, but either way, in both of these worlds, there's 2 people going after T. So yeah, it must be true that 2 people go after T, and that gives us D as our correct answer. So we save some time by not doing A and B out fully, and just looking for a better candidate answer. Keep that strategy in mind. It's a major time saver. Trial and error should always be a last resort when solving problems. So if you pay attention to strategies, you can usually find another way to solve a problem before resorting to trial and error. Okay, 8 gives us the condition that L is last. So we know we're in World 2. World 1 is out, temporarily. And then, so we can, if you want, you can rewrite in your mini diagram the rules that apply when you're in World 2. We've got to be in this OPL setup, okay? So the question then asks us what could be true except, and I'm going to do this same mental process that I did in the last question of kind of looking for candidate answers. T drives from the plane 4th. I don't see any problem with T 4th right away. We then have W here. So I'm not really giving that answer a full look. I'm looking for something more promising. So A is gone. Well, it's not gone, but I'm moving on to the next one. So then let's look at B. Y's 4th. Again, I just don't see any reason why not. So I'm going on to look for more promising answers. It doesn't seem to interfere with any sort of rule, So we have OP. There I just did out of full order, but you don't have to. Just keep looking for something more promising. So we get to C, and O dives from the plane 5th. Yeah, right away I see that this violates this OP rule because there's no place to put P. So C cannot be true, and that makes it our right answer. So see again how we save time by not fully analyzing trial and error style. Just spend the first pass looking for something promising. It's a key strategy. Question 9 is this same strategy. We just keep going with it, with trying to kind of look for answers with higher potential. So we've got this new local rule that Z is right after W. So Z, W, and that's going to have this rule now that T, W, Z. And that doesn't tell us which of these 2 worlds we're in. We could still be in either one of them. So let's look at answer choice A. L dives from the plane first. What must be false? I look at that and I see no reason why we can't have TWZ in World 1 up there. So I'm not trying it out fully to cross it off yet, but I'm just moving on to the next answer choices. So kind of keeping soft eyes and moving along here. B, T dives from the plane third, so we've got t in third. 1, 2, 3, t in third. This one looks like it might cause problems, so I'm actually inclined to try it out. We have t, w, z, because we know both w and z can't go last, right? And then we could have L and then OP. So that's fine. So we're able to just cross off B there by trying out a scenario. So let's move on to C. Z dives from the plane third. So again, maybe it looks complicated enough to try because we've got this TWZ thing. Does that work? We have to then put L last, and then you're totally fine putting O and P here. So C is gone. And D, P fourth. P fourth looks like it might cause some troubles because can we get TWZ in ahead of that? Sorry, let's do that. Right? Can we get TWZ in ahead of that? Yeah, we can, but then we're in world 2, right? Because L has to be at the end. And then all of a sudden your P and your O have to be reversed. Because remember, this had to be here. So that doesn't work. Can we get, can we split up W and Z? And put L first? And then, but no, because then we have the PO requirement, because we're in world 1 with L first. And since P has to be here, putting O in either of these two spots is violating this condition here. So yeah, we've now found out that D is our correct answer. So circle that, because there's no way you can have P first without violating the conditions relating to where P and O are in relation to each other. Okay, so 9's done. That was a pretty tricky question. That was really the hardest one here. And just doing fast elimination work, which is a requirement if you want to truly master the LSAT, will get you to the answer in relatively good time. And one reminder as we move on to question 10, I'm erasing my work here because of limited space. You'll be leaving it up next to the questions where you do your mini diagram. So you'll have probably always have earlier work to reference, and in many cases that can be helpful. It doesn't come into play in this question, but never do what I'm doing here and erase work you've done. In a real game day situation, that could end up punishing you because you wouldn't have some work that can come in handy later. So question 10 gives us this new rule that T is immediately after L. T is immediately after L, which the only way to have that is to be in this world 1 scenario. So you can just continue drawing a little mini diagram here, and you now know that you've got your TW rule, and you're in world 1, so you got P and O. If it helps you to redraw the rules, you totally can. Or you can just mentally work with your number 1 scenario here. And then it asks, each of the following could be true except, so we need to find something that must be false. And once you've gotten this far, there's nowhere to go. You can't make any further inferences, right? So you just have to start trying out the answers. And A gives us O in third. And you immediately see that that violates this P and O rule. So this must be false, and that makes it the right answer. So pretty easy there. We got lucky. A was the right one. Circle it, bubble it in, and you're done with this game. So that's game 1 and 2 done. They were pretty easy. Nothing to freak out about. And maybe we're in for a tough time on game 3 and 4 because these two were very straightforward. So let's go check those out.